Good morning, or g'day, or guiamore. Welcome to A Down Under Yarn. This is episode number 23. Today is the 5th of June. It's a Wednesday. I did actually record yesterday afternoon and then managed to not save the file. I did save it, but then I saved something over the top of it. So anyway, you get that. So this is take 2, and I'm hoping it comes out okay. This is coming to you from Johannesburg in South Africa. Usually I come to you from Cairns in Australia, but Mimmel and I are here visiting Mimmel's family, which is absolutely amazing, having an absolute blast. For those playing along at home, Mimmel is the man in my life, and he is originally from Johannesburg and came to Australia 7 years ago. And we've been together over 5 years now, so yeah. It's been, I suppose, now a week and a couple of days since I recorded, and it's hard to remember what happened last week. I was really busy getting ready to get here. It's okay, my niece has just gone inside. She was outside for a while and she was going to come and help, but she's, I think, CBeebies is on telly and that's drawing her away. Anyway, busy with cleaning, with washing, with laundry, with all sorts of stuff, and I just didn't get to record. I was planning on recording when we got to Sydney on Saturday. We had to fly down from Cairns to Sydney on Saturday, overnight it in Sydney. We arrived at 5:30 and it was pitch black, it was dark, and we're not used to that. It doesn't get dark in Cairns till about 6:30, a bit later perhaps, but there wasn't much point recording. The light was pretty dreadful. And I thought, hey, I'll wait. So then waited till we got here. It took me a couple of days to get some airtime, some mobile service. People here don't have modems and internet connection as we have it in Australia. Definitely no cable or anything. So most people rely on 3G dongles, or we've just joined the LTE network here. So I had to wait until I could get a SIM card for my phone, which I'm now using to tether to everything else. What else? We got here on Sunday evening. It was a 14-hour flight. The flight itself was pretty okay. There's a little bit of turbulence here and there, but you get that, I think, at this time of year. It's winter down here, so I believe that affects the air. We were a little late taking off. We woke up Sunday morning and it was an early flight, which is why we had to overnight it in Sydney. Cairns is 3 hours from Sydney by plane, and the plane left at 10:50 in the morning. You have to be there 2 hours beforehand, which would have been 8:50, and there's no plane leaving early enough. No, it leaves at 9:50, sorry, which would be 7:50. There's no plane leaving early enough to get there from Cairns in the morning, so that's why we had to overnight it. We chose to go via Sydney because it's a direct flight. You can go via Perth, but then you have to take two different planes to Perth, and it's also a South African Airways flight. We've got nothing against them, but Qantas has nicer planes. It boils down to that for us. Anyway, so we woke up and we heard planes overhead, which was great because last week there were severe delays because of fog in Sydney, and I looked out, got the trip advice saying the flight was on time. I'm thinking, this is great, this is fantastic. Got to the airport, sitting in the lounge. Mimmel has membership of the airline, so it meant that we were able to sit in the lounge and have a glass of champagne and some brekkie, which was just lovely. And then we boarded the aircraft, and we looked like we were going to be on time. We thought, this is fantastic. The pilot comes on and goes, look, you may have noticed we haven't pushed back yet. There is a bit of a delay because of the weather. It's misty and they're allowing extra time between aircrafts. We thought, that's fine, understandable. 10-15 minutes isn't going to matter. Finally, we taxied back. Pilot comes on again and he says, this is just to let you know that, yes, we have taxied back. We're in queue now. We've got, I think, 5 planes ahead of us. So it'll be another 15-20 minutes before we get to take off. And we thought, no, that's okay, I'm knitting away. Then the pilot comes on again after about 15 minutes and goes, ladies and gentlemen, I don't really know how to explain this, but there's been another delay. The Delta Airlines flight in front of us has forgotten to switch on one of its engines. So therefore, we have to wait for that engine to warm up before we can take off. It's not like, you can just overtake them in the queue and go and take off. So again, we had to wait. That was fine. The 14-hour flight over here, I did quite a bit of knitting, watched 4 movies that I saw Les Mis again, which I really liked. But the other 3 movies I probably wouldn't have seen in the cinema, and I don't know if I'd ever watch them otherwise. I can't remember what they were now, but there you go. We flew into Johannesburg, landed I think 5-ish in the evening. It took me an hour and a half to get through immigration. The line was long. I didn't argue that. I knew not to argue. I had everything filled out correctly. The person next to me was trying to argue, and you just don't argue in an immigration line. I'm sorry. So Mimmel, of course, being South African, he gets straight through on his South African passport. No questions asked. I had my visa stamped in there. It's all good. He was able to go through, pick up the bags, come back and wait for me. So I was then able to come through, headed out, pick up our hire car and drove around here. So we got here must have been about 7-ish. And 7:30 probably actually. And we had Mimmel's parents were here, his sister and her partner and their daughter, which was just lovely meeting her. And we kept being told, she's really wary with strangers. And even though she's seen us on Skype a few times, we thought, ooh, but she was just all over us. It was just lovely. Gave out some presents, and she got her Milo vest, which she probably put on and just loved. And then she... so ended up having an early night. Woke up, I think, Monday morning at about 1:30. Got up, had a cup of tea, back to bed. That seemed to be okay. Yesterday morning, woke up about 2:30 and was able to drift back to sleep this morning. Woke up at 3:30 and was awake for 3 hours. Just couldn't get back to sleep. Mimmel was the same. We ended up sitting up and reading. We had the internet by now, so we were able to sit up and catch up on emails and things like that. I put up on Ravelry boards. On Monday, it was Mimmel's grandparents' 63rd wedding anniversary, so it was absolutely wonderful to be able to call in and visit them, give them some flowers and some chocolates, and spend some time with them. They both still live at home, and yes, Mimmel's au pair's frail, but it's just amazing. 3 years ago when we were here, 3.5 years ago, we thought maybe it's the last time we'll be seeing his grandparents, but they're both still alive, so it's very exciting. It's one of the challenges, I think, of living away from your family and living overseas. That was the week that was. I have skipped the whole administratia and stuff, so I might just head back to that sort of, I'm in holiday mode, so I'm all over the place. If you are looking for show notes, they are available at fifykins.com, and there's also our Ravelry group for a Down Under Yarn, so please feel free to come over, join up and join in the conversation over there. Thank you all for the amazing response last week to the launch of Solar Flare Fibres. Don't have a firm date yet. I'm waiting on some paperwork to fill in to get a government grant, a new enterprise initiative scheme grant, which would enable me to get some funding from the government for setting up a small business, which would be amazing if I can get that. So fingers crossed about that. I think that's about it. Yes, for that. I am sitting outside and it's anxiety provoking. It's probably not the safest thing for me to do, but I really wanted to be able to broadcast from under African skies for you. Last week, just down the road here, there was a family outside having a braai or a barbecue, and some people jumped the fence with machetes and started hacking into them. They all survived, but everything was taken. They took cell phones, they took computers, they took rings, they took jewellery and everything. So South Africa is not the safest place. I know that Mimmel's still in bed, he's back to sleep, even though it's 20 to 12. Mimmel's mum is inside in the kitchen and she has the gun handy. There are 2 guns here. Mimmel has his gun. He's been sleeping with it next to the bed. It's quite a novel. Novel's probably not the right thing. It is a different experience, but the crime rate here is so high that apparently it's a necessity. On the weekend, my sister, who used to be a police officer, wants to take us to the shooting range. So I've never fired a gun myself. Last night I was looking at different bullets. So showed me the different bullets for the guns, because Mimmels' dad has a revolver, whereas Mimmels got a Glock. And seeing the differences in them, knowing that I think both guns would be outlawed in Australia, especially the Glock because it's semi-automatic. It is what it is. It's a different way of life over here. The crime rate is so high. The road toll is, you wouldn't believe it. It's in the thousands, tens of thousands, people that die on the roads. It's just different. It's Africa. I might talk a bit more about that later. Anyway, let's get into the knitting, which is why we're here. So, I have a finished object, and this is what I finished on the plane down from Cairns to Sydney. It is my graffiti on the Metro mitts. These are knit out of Highland Handmade striped maple sock in the Villainous colourway, which was a colourway inspired by the Princess Bride, and I love them. I think I'm going to say it was this one. I finished this one, I had this one to go. I'm sure it could be the other way around. I had done up to about there. On the plane, I was able to do all of the gusset. I had a needle with me, so I was able to put the thumb stitches onto waist yarn, and I think I got almost to the, I might have been into the ribbing. I finished that then Saturday night in Sydney and did both thumbs at the same time. They match up pretty well. There's one row out, I think, in the thumbs, but if anyone's going to notice that, hey, they're fantastic. I love them. So this is a free pattern on Ravelry, graffiti on the Metro. I used 3.25mm needles, my signatures, which I was able to get through security, no problems, no questions asked, and I cast on extra stitches for my chunky arms. I have all that in my project notes, which I've linked in the show notes. Again, beautiful yarn to knit with, and just love the dyeing. Colours in this is just amazing. My whips, I had hoped, when I recorded last week, I had high hopes of doing quite a bit of work on my vodka lemonade. I'm actually got this sitting here on the ground next to me. It is still a whip. I had hoped to finish the body of it, but that just didn't happen. I was so busy last week that knitting kind of took a back seat with getting other stuff done. So I have my dicky-do here. You can see my dicky-do there, and down to there is how much I've done. So that's in 9 days. I have done one full lace repeat down the bottom there. I have one more to go, and then some seed stitch at the bottom, and then onto the arms. I have that much left. These are 200-gram balls from Bendigo Woolen Mills. It is the rustic 8-ply in the Elm colourway. I'm using 3.75mm needles, and I'm sorry I haven't written down the US equivalents today. We'll have to look at my project notes, but then again, everyone's gauge is different, so needle size is a needle size. My row gauge is really out on this, so I'm not sure how much yarn I am going to have for my sleeves. I joined the third ball in just before we left, even though I had about 10 yards, 4 or 5 yards at least on the other ball there. I'm now well and truly into it. I've probably got about, I haven't weighed it, but it feels like about 150 grams left. Might use an extra 20 grams or so to finish off the bottom here. And then the sleeves, I'm going to do the sleeves 2 at a time. I bought an extra cable. I'm using my Knit Pro needles, my Harmony wooden needles, and I bought an extra cable the same length. So I'm going to have a cable in each arm, one arm from the inside of the ball, the other arm from the outside of the ball, knit 10 rows or so on one side, go back to the other side, knit that, so that I can, instead of having to weigh the yarn then, I will know where I'm up to and can probably do a more accurate evenness on my sleeves. I'm hoping I've got enough to get down just below elbow length. The weather here is freezing in the evenings. It gets really cold because we are inland, but during the day, like today at the moment, it's meant to be about 19, 20, 21 degrees, and it's just lovely sitting out here in the sun. It's just so beautiful. I'm wearing my long sleeve tee, and it's fine. I should also mention I'm wearing my For Good hat. I packed most of my knitwear that I've knitted because I don't get to wear it a lot in Cairns, and I've worn this the last couple of days. This is the For Good hat by Megan Williams at the Stockinette Zombies. It is knit in 3 Irish Girls Glenhaven Cashmerino worsted, which is probably my favourite base of 3 Irish Girls. I just love it. And the colourway is the Deep Blue Sea. It was a club colourway back when the clubs were running. Really love this hat. It's just been amazing. And yeah, so I've been getting a bit of wear out of this. And wanted to be able to show you it was finished object from last December. I think that's it for these. My other whip is what I was doing. Oh, hello. I've got a stitch marker here, which means that. Yep. Just a minute, sorry. It's okay. I will put that down here and know that that has come off there. I think all the stitches fell off. Is my whip from the plane. I cast on my hitchhiker again using Highland Handmaids. This is the Sugar Maple Sock in the prime colourway. It is the most stunning colourway. I tell you what, it has the most amazing blue, which is like a royal blue. It has oranges, it has purples, it has the yellow is just golden. And then it has the purples go into a, it's just so hard to describe. It is just amazing. The orange goes into it like a peachy apricot, but it's not really that. It doesn't come out that way. And again, here we are. This is my hitchhiker. This is what I knit on the plane. Again, using my signatures, 3.25 millimeters. I did 24 points. I haven't touched this since I got here because I've been working on my cardigan, trying to get that done. Haven't had a lot of knitting time. So, yeah, just love it. Perfect plain knitting, absolutely perfect. I did start off with the stitch marker that people recommended in project notes. You put a stitch marker in that determines how many rows you've done on the repeat, but found that it's pretty easy to read the garter stitch, so I stopped doing that. Yeah, this was a heavy ball to begin with. I have used 45 grams already, but still have about 70 odd grams left on here. So really looking forward to getting a decent sized shawl out of this. And yeah, hopefully I'll get this finished sometime soon so that I get some wear out of it here. If not, it's something I will be able to definitely wear in cans. I love the brightness of it. I'm not sure. We're in the middle of the day here, so the sun is not our friend with its shadow across my face. But still, this is just gorgeous. So absolutely loving this. I have yarn for 2 or 3 other projects here. I have 3 balls of yarn that I'm going to use for my Vera Marquis shawl. Either a Colour Affection or a Happy Street. I'm leaning more towards the Colour Affection with it at the moment. I have both patterns here. I have both yarns and I have needles. I have the yarn and I have needles. So, look, I'm not sure what it will be yet. The other thing, I have some socks. I'm going to do the Cursed Cable socks out of some yarn that I've had. Striped yarn, my first striped yarn I bought, I think. I have that all wound up ready to go as well. I also bought some other self-striping just to whip up some socks. I had hoped to bring my Camp Loopy project, which I bought some self-striping sock yarn. However, that didn't arrive in time before we left. So it'll be there when we get home, and I'll be able to whip up a pair of socks in a week, so I'm not too worried about that. I don't have any acquisitions this week. However, I have some planned acquisitions. There are a couple of local yarn stores here in Johannesburg, one of which Mimel says it's not the safest area to visit, so we probably won't be going to that one. We might try and get to another one. There are a lot of beading stores. Mimel's mum is a beader. She loves beading. There are, Africans bead. We go places and you see amazing, intricate beaded items that have been made out of glass seed beads. And Mimel's mum knows a couple of places to go to. She brought out yesterday some of her supplies. She had huge bags, and we're talking half-kilo bags of beads, of glass seed beads. These are from China, not from Japan. And they cost $12.50, which is equivalent to about $1.25, $1.50, say, for 500 grams. She said, there are some places that manage to pull them apart and put them in bags, tiny little bags, and they charge $5 rand. And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, that sounds really cheap. I look at the quality of the ones that she had; they look fantastic. Of course, I'm going to buy some because they're so cheap, and I will string them onto some yarn and soak them to double check they're not going to run onto the yarn. because there would be nothing worse than finishing a beaded project to find that the beads had run and ruined it. So that is that plan. Middle's mum wants to take me to one of the local craft stores. She says they've got that yarn that you only have to knit 7 stitches, and when you knit it, it's magic and it's into a sparkle. So some novelty yarn. Hey, we'll go and have a look. There might be some amazing novelty yarn here that is different to Australian novelty yarn that I might fall in love with. It might be a holiday purchase. When you go on holidays and you buy things and you get them home and you go, why the heck did I ever get that? So we will see. I'm spending more time with family and friends this week, catching up with people, which is just really, really good. Hoping to get to a market on the weekend to do some shopping there, which will be pretty amazing. And yeah, try to catch up on sleep. If anyone has any tips on surviving jet lag, I'd love to hear them. I think I've tried most things. I'm staying up at night. Last time I stayed up till 9 o'clock, the night before until 8 o'clock. So I'm hoping to know if I stay up till 10, 11 o'clock, if I can get there, then I might be able to sleep through without waking up for a few hours in the middle of the night. Otherwise, I think I'll just get up and join a VKM or something. That'd be okay as well. I think that's about it. I do hope to get some footage this week of local South Africa. We're in Roodepoort, which is a western area of Johannesburg. It's like a shire area. It's an area that takes in a lot of suburbs. And the suburb we're in is just part of Roodepoort, which is part of Johannesburg, western Johannesburg. The crime rate in South Africa is high. The crime rate around here is high as well. The school across the road has razor wire all along it. Mimmels' parents have a huge gate, huge fence. They don't have any razor wire or any spikes on top of their fence, but it's all padlocked, and it's got lots of bushes in front. People next door have got barbed wire along the top of the fence. It's different. It's a different way of life. We all keep saying it's Africa. You've got to remember it's Africa, and I'm saying yes, but it's still it's not really a developed country, I don't think. And I think that it's so hard for Mimmel's family in particular, being Afrikaans people, who rejoiced when apartheid ended, only to see the rainbow nation they dreamt of hasn't really emerged yet. There's hope that it will emerge. There's hope that in 10, 15 years, when the people who start being involved in the country didn't necessarily live under apartheid, hopefully they don't have the same attitudes as others. I know in Australia last week there was a lot of talk about reconciliation and about racism. There is rampant racism in South Africa, and the thing is, though, a lot of it's directed towards the whites, and then vice versa. Last time we were here 3.5 years ago, I was racially abused smiling at a lady with her baby. I was called a white something, and I was pretty shocked. But then I think, well, other people put up with that all the time. So, yeah, it's tricky to know where the country's going, if South Africa is heading out of Zimbabwe or not. I don't know if I would feel safe bringing children here again, which is awful, because their sort of step-grandparents are here and they love them and they haven't get out to Australia yet. So it's a wait and see. Some people live in the gated community. My sister and her partner and daughter live in a gated community. We're going to visit them, see what the gated communities are all about, because I haven't seen one before. I will take some footage, I hope, of one of the local settlement areas, which is like a shanty town. Basically, they have sheds. People live in sheds. We visited, the kids and I last time went to Soweto and were taken on a tour by some people and went inside a house, which was a 2-room shed. Didn't have running water, didn't have electricity, and it had 13 people living in these 2 rooms. That is fairly common. you go to the shops, you park your car, there are car park attendants. And these are people that look after cars, they look out for cars and try and make sure your car isn't stolen. You give them a tip at the end, you get to the right at the start and wave to them, and they know that they're going to look out for your car, and then they expect a tip at the end of your shopping experience. They help load your bags in and things like that. The poverty is unbelievable. Nemel's dad is a builder. His builder's labourers get 120 rand a day, which is equivalent to about $12 Australian, probably the same in US dollars. The cost of living, though, is a little less. In the shops, we noticed, for instance, we bought bacon, and that was equivalent to about $8 a kilo, whereas in Australia it's $12 a kilo. Meat is really cheap, but even still, it's difficult. I will also try and get some more photos. I took photos last night of dinner, which was boerewors and pup tart. Pup is like a maize ground up. It's when you see in Ethiopia them giving grains to children, they're usually giving them pup, and it's very, very common over here. We had some fat cook the other day, which are fat cakes. Amazing. As you can see, I'm probably not eating that paleo here. Fat cook, it's hard to describe it. It's like a bread dough that is deep fried, and it comes out super sticky. It's not sticky in the middle, but it's not fluffy, but it's just it's amazing. It's like a savoury sort of donut, but not light. But the heaviness on it doesn't really worry you, so it's pretty amazing. Yeah, I hope to get some photos of that, put them up on Instagram, or of course on Fifykins. I don't know if I introduced myself at the start. Anyway, that's who I am. Yeah, apart from that, we've got another 11 days here, which we're going to really, really make the most of. It's tough being here with my kids, both in different continents. Imogen, of course, is in Japan, Jasper's in Australia. So the three of us are on 3 different continents. Yeah, it is what it is, and we can communicate online, which is fantastic. So until next week, I will say uru and cheers, and see you later. I don't know when I will be recording next week, probably Monday or Tuesday, I'd say. It depends what we get doing on the weekend, and hopefully I'll have some knitting progress. So until then, bye. Where do I stop this? Oh, there's my cursor. Sorry. Bye.